We will go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. I will put the link to the handouts for today's session. There's a link to it in the chat box. And during Jeff's session, if you have any questions at all, go ahead and type them in the chat box. And periodically, he will be checking to see if there's questions. So, Jeff will be doing our session on SEO, and take it away, Jeff.
Okay, well, let me get the presentation up and running. Go into slideshow. And let's see, I'm not seeing. Share screen. All right, I got it now. I see that I'm sharing the screen. Okay, we're talking about SEO basics, and I'm going to take and minimize the little block on my side here so I don't get annoyed by it. And you can see on the first slide, I do have those links as well listed, but look for them in the chat box. This is sort of a combination between the SBA and SCORE, which really are sort of joined at the hip, because SCORE was originally founded as part of the Small Business Administration, and it stood for something about retired executives. Well, I'm not retired, and there's a lot of people that are involved in SCORE that are volunteers like myself that contribute. Basically, there are mentors, there are people that out there to help small businesses or any kind of business understand some of the things that they may need to succeed in their business. So let's see here. Can I get? There we go. Next slide. There's me. Okay. Just wanted to let you know I'm a digital marketing strategist. I do have more than 30 years of marketing, and if you couldn't tell. And that was pretty much traditional marketing. I worked in media sales and sales management. I've worked for several companies in the roles of marketing managers, marketing directors. I've worked for several marketing, communication, or advertising agencies. So, but over the last 10 plus years, I've been focused on inbound and digital marketing. So it's basically due to the fact that people have gone about and changed how they solve their business problems or make purchase decisions. They basically do a search on the web, and primarily that search is done on Google. But just to show you, my business focus is helping businesses get found in a search when prospects are looking for what they do, which is a little different than a lot of people think about, because it said, well, if somebody looks for my business by name, they'll find me. Well, they better. But if they're looking for what you do, are you going to turn up? Because a lot of people don't know your business by name. So that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit today. So SEO, search engine optimization. There are basically two components to this. Okay, there's local SEO. And primarily, you figure people are talking to their phones nowadays. They're asking questions. They're basically saying, hey, which way to the nearest coffee shop? Can you take me here? That kind of thing. So that's one of the components that is very important. Then there is the website. That's represented by the image on the right side, which basically you have to optimize your website so that that can get found in a search. That's both for the phone as well as a desktop or laptop. And I know of companies that say, well, I don't need a website. I've got my stuff on Facebook. Well, guess what? The search engine is not going to return a Facebook page for what you do. So if you want to really get found for a search for somebody that's looking for what you do, you better have a website. You better have it optimized properly. So algorithms, that's basically what a search engine is all about. And the search engines, it's a long, complex thing, and it's constantly evolving. But you have to remember one thing, that algorithms are written by humans. And what's important to a human is really how you have to optimize your website. So there's certain components in that. There's basically headings. There's number of times the keyword phrases appear in the content. You know, there's a lot of different components to that. So really you have to look at what, you know, humans search on and how the programmers will actually include that into a search engine algorithm. Okay, Google has a number of algorithms that they've launched over the years. And, you know, you may have heard of some of these: Panda, Penguin, Hummingbird, Pigeon, BERT. And just to let you know, Siri actually uses Google's algorithm. That's one thing a lot of people don't realize. So if you're searching on Siri, guess what? You're using Google. But anyways, some of these have had some real impacts on web site visibility. And we're not going to get too much into them, but we'll talk a little bit about these different things. So like Panda was released in 2011. It's a ranking filter. It reads the content and digests information. It's looking for original content. So you really want to avoid duplicate content. You don't want to take and copy somebody else's website and put it in there. You want to minimize the number of times the same content. Let's say if you copy one paragraph from a page on your website to another page on your website, that tends to look at as duplicate content. And they're also looking for long form content. And I know there's a big drive by a lot of people saying, well, I don't want all those words on my website because, you know, it just clutters up the page. Well, guess what? Search engines don't necessarily read pictures very well. They look at words on a page, and that's how a website gets ranked and indexed. So you need content, you need original content, and you need quality content. That has not changed. Then also Panda has something that, you know, they're looking for 100% unique, not thin or duplicate. Okay, the page examples over on the one side basically has, you know, a lot of images. Okay, and there's links for contact us, but pretty much the only content that's on there is those areas, those boxes where that are in red. Everything else, there's no content on that page. So if there's a real page like that, but it's still important, you may want to delist that, you know, thin content page so it doesn't show up in your XML sitemap, as well as going on to Google Search Console and saying, hey, don't index this page if it's out there. Penguin, it was released the year after, 2012. It's looking for trustworthy relationships and backlinks. And that's one of the things about the web. You want to have backlinks from high value websites pointing back to your site. I mean, you have links on LinkedIn, okay, just your about copy, putting it in there. And you know, Facebook, your Facebook page has a link coming back. Those are high value websites. But other websites that are related industry wise, or let's say a website that happens to be a news site. Okay, if you can get your website link on a news story, I mean, those things are golden. So that's one of the things you want to do. You want to avoid the pre-2012 time period where there were snake oil salespersons in SEO that saying, hey, for $59.95, I can get you on the, you know, top page of Google by putting your links on all these sites all over the world, which have nothing to do with your business. That's where Penguin actually does look at the value of that website and the relationship between that kind of website to your site. I had a prospect one time that actually had a Penguin penalty, and it was automatic. In other words, the algorithm shut him down. And he had engaged one of these snake oil people, And basically he had links all over the world and Asia and Germany and stuff. He had a link on a German blog. It was in German, had nothing to do with his company. And that's where he ended up getting a penalty on that. So you want to avoid that. You want to avoid the tricks on that. You want to build quality links and avoid those link farms. In other words, a page where there's nothing but links on it. Okay. There's some directories that I've seen that have been nothing but links. So you want to avoid that kind of possibility. Okay. Hummingbird launched in 2013. You can see all of a sudden like 2011, 2012, 2013. Website, Sweet Nectar. It's looking for natural and engaging content. And basically it's sort of looking at the long tail keyword phrases, the intent, okay? What somebody's actually looking for. And like I said, people search using their phones, so they're asking questions, and those are long tail keyword phrases. They're not single keywords, all right? So that's where answering the questions is important. And that's why having an FAQ page or different product or solution pages on your website with the FAQs on it is very helpful for ranking of your website. Okay, Pigeon also launched in 2013. This is the local SEO component side. So the top 3 key results, when you do a search, sometimes you'll see a little map box and there's going to be 3 results. And that's where you have to optimize your local SEO. We're going to talk about that too. And it's really about Google Maps, any of the mapping type programs. And, you know, the other thing is that this switched into mobile first. In other words, the search engines are now looking at your mobile site or how your site appears in a mobile browser versus a regular desktop. And that's because most of the time, way over 50%, depending upon the business, but basically way over 50% of the time, people are doing searches using a mobile device, and primarily that's going to be a smartphone. Okay, BERT, that actually launched in 2018. And okay, it stands for bidirectional encoder representations from transformers. Okay, now that means absolutely nothing for anybody that's involved in a business, because you know it's really geeky on the part of the people. But basically, it refers to the algorithm that is based on neural networks, okay, and natural language processing. A lot of times, you know, the search engines are still computers. They're not that smart. So to recognize when somebody's speaking into their smartphone, the word to could be T-O, T-O-O, or T-W-O. And that's where this BERT algorithm has to define what words are you actually asking for, so it can provide the proper answers for you. So that's launched in 2019. About 10% of all websites really got impacted by that. So on search engine visibility. So images are key here because artificial intelligence is sort of figuring out what that image is. But what you need to do on a website is to actually look at the alternative text tag. And this is a carryover from the days of the dial-up internet 20, 30 years ago, where people didn't want to take and download images when they were looking at browsers because it would take so long for the page to load. Well, we're going to talk about that too in a minute. But pretty much they would just say, don't show me the images. And what would happen is that an alternative text box with a line of text would show up and it would say what that image is. Well, that's exactly what you're going to need to do is take and define in the alternative text box what that image is all about. Now, this is where I was talking about loading speeds. Okay. This is coming in May of next year. Google's Core Web Vitals and their page experience algorithm updates. And some of this is already happening. And you probably realize it too when your own web searches. I mean, if you go out to a website and it takes more than 3 seconds to load, you're gone. Okay. So page speed, page load speed, LCP actually stands for largest contentful paint. Okay. So that's the developer geeky speak. But basically it's the page load. How fast does that page load? Okay. And then first input delay. Okay. That means, okay, how long does it take for me to be able to take and actually make some decision on that page? Can I click on any links? Sometimes the stuff loads, but you can't do anything on it. Okay. So that's part of it. And then the cumulative layout shift, the visual stability of the page itself. Okay. Really, it's providing a good user experience. All right. Pages really have to load, and a lot of times the first stuff starts have to come in about 1/10 of a second. So that's where all these things are combined into Google's Core Web Vitals, and it's going to impact website visibility and ranking in May. So if you haven't already started within your company or your business to start looking at these things with your people that are involved in your web marketing, you better start doing it now, because it's going to hit, and then you're going to have to monitor what's going to be happening come May. All right. Last year, how many changes did Google make in their algorithm? Now in a class when I do this, it's like, okay, I want people to guess, but basically more than 3,500 algorithm changes. Okay, a lot of them were minor, but there were a number of them that happened that were major in the sense that it impacted your website visibility. You could have gone up, you could have gone down. And sometimes you have to react to that. And the problem is Google doesn't tell you what they're doing. They only do it, and then the website community, the search engine practitioners are looking at it and going, whoa, look at this. Okay. And then it gets spread around their forums and the like, and things that I monitor. And I have to say, okay, is this something we've got to work on? Okay, sometimes we've got to take and start tweaking your website a little bit here and there. There's things in the back end, there's things on the page that may have to change. So that's where you're constantly monitoring your analytics and trying to see what's going on in the Google algorithm. And well, Google's a big dog, and it tends to trickle down to all the rest of them. All right. Now there are other search engines. You know, Google's 63% of all the searches. Then there's Bing and Yahoo, Ask, AOL. Those are actually, with Google, the top 5. DuckDuckGo is one that you may have heard of that's actually rising in search engine visibility, and probably will take over into the number 4 spot at some point in time. And it's about privacy. Okay, DuckDuckGo actually uses a lot of different search engines to build their algorithm and their search results, but they are key on saying your search visibility, your search history is private with us, so we're not going to take and sell your information like, well, Google and Bing and Yahoo do. They basically monitor your behavior so they can show you ads. And those ads appear not only on the searches, but they show up when you go out to different news sites. All of a sudden you start seeing ads. How many of you have actually gone out to a shopping site, looked at some items, then you go out to a news site and all of a sudden there's an ad for the exact same thing you just looked at. Okay, so that's the search engine network capturing information along with the company saying, hey, I want this to happen so that if you didn't buy, I want to take and show this item to you again. Okay, so Bing has got 24% of all searches. Obviously, it's owned by Microsoft. It does supply the algorithm to AOL. Well, big deal. That's less than 1% of all searches. But just thought I'd share that with you. So knowing Bing, and what's interesting is there are tools. Bing Webmaster Tools is one of the ways to figure out what's going on with your website on Bing. All right. So you have Google Analytics and Search Console for the Google side, Bing Webmaster Tools on Bing. Unfortunately, I don't think Yahoo has any such tools, but it does have about 1 in 12 searches still occur on Yahoo. Now, Yahoo Places, which is also known as Local Works when you go out there, is really their local SEO component. Like Google My Business and Bing Places. Basically, you've got Local Works for Yahoo. And they actually have subletted that portion of their business to Yext.com. Yext.com is a media sales company. They're not interested in giving you anything for free. If you go out and optimize the Yahoo Places listing for your business, expect a phone call within 24 hours. Actually, probably within 60 minutes, you'll get a call from Yext.com, and they're going to try to sell you a package, probably $79 a month. We'll get you on all these search engines. We'll get them all cleaned up for you. And if you want to buy some swampland, I've got something down in the southeast portion of the country. So anyhow, don't buy it. It isn't worth it. Just tell them that you're just trying to correct the misinformation on Yahoo Places, just trying to get your name, address, phone number, NAP consistent throughout all the different areas. All right. What's important? How people are doing their searches. It's about keywords, and it's not just keywords, it's keyword phrases. Okay. And there's two kinds, transactional and educational. And when I start talking about the transactional, it's like, okay, I've got some knee pain. I'm looking for a doctor that can take care of my knee pain. That's a transactional search. Okay. If I'm saying what causes knee pain, that's educational. Now, smart business owners will take and optimize on both the transactional and educational keyword phrase because they want their stuff to show up when somebody's searching. And you want to become the subject matter expert when somebody actually lands on your website. So, geeky wise, we call it on-page or on-site SEO. And on-site SEO, let me see. Do we have any questions? I guess I'm running through here. I don't see anything.
No, there
okay.
are not any yet.
Okay. All right. Ask questions whenever you want. We'll stop and take care of those. On-page SEO, there's a lot of different components. Okay. This is your website. Page title. That is the blue text that actually shows up in a search. You want to control that. You want to put that information in there. Meta description or page description. That is the black text that's in a search result. Google allows 300 characters. Bing allows 160. Generally, I just write 160 and everybody's happy. But if you don't supply these two elements, you're turning your marketing over to a computer to take and scrape content off your pages to take and supply this as a search result. And this is where you can take and help optimize your website so that this website, your web page, the solution page to a person's problem will turn up in their searches. Then there's different other components on the page itself. There's headings. Just like in Microsoft Word, you can say, well, I want, this is the large heading, I want it an H1, heading size 1. And strangely enough, on a website, they use the same nomenclature. There's an H1, there's an H2, there's H3s, all different headings. So you want to take and put the keywords, if at all possible, not only for style, but for attracting attention. Remember, humans write the algorithm. Headings attract attention. That's where you want to take and put your keyword phrases. Keyword density. How many times does the keyword appear on the page? That is important. But you don't want to take and look like you're stuffing the page with keywords. You want to take and actually sound normal. Okay, semantic speech wise, you're answering questions, but you're making sure the keywords are in there. Now you can do a little trick on that and make them in bold or italics. Again, that attracts the human's attention. It attracts the search engine attention. Ta-da. Okay. Alt tags on the images. Like I said, the images are pretty much blank sheets of paper, although artificial intelligence is getting better at determining them. But likewise, you don't want to turn your marketing over to a computer to figure out what that image is. And you don't want to miss an opportunity to actually add some other keywords to that alternative text. Hrefs, okay. Well, what is that? Well, those are actually hyperlink referrals. Basically, it's other links on your site. You can actually refer to other pages on pages, as well as, let's say, blog posts that you have referring to pages on your website. So having those cross hrefs are important, as well as hrefs going off site to a certain extent. It doesn't help you as much as it helps that other site. But if you can get reciprocal links that way, that actually adds to your backlinks, as long as it's coming from a high value website that is related to your business. All right. So on-page SEO. So we talked about page title. As you can see here, we've got home, Howling Hounds Coffee, coffee, art, coffee, art. It gets a little bit repetitive, but having home on there makes absolutely no sense because it's a coffee shop. It's not a real estate company. It's not a home builder. Why are you doing that? You actually need to manage that. So here's a little better one, Hardy Coffee Company, Omaha. You're giving it a location-based search as well as, the name. Okay. Well, like I said before, if your name, if somebody searches for your company by name, you better turn up in the search. Now, I was doing that with another business earlier today, and quite frankly, they were not turning up. And it was because their name was so generic that it meant the actual item versus, specific to their company name. So that's where it may be important to do that in a page title, but generally you don't want to take this real estate up and put something there that doesn't have as much information for the reader, the searcher, to actually make a determination. Remember, these lines are the head, the page title. That's what somebody's going to focus on first to figure out, okay, is this something that I want? Is this answering my question? All right. Then they're going to take and look at the page description. That's the black text in there. Now, the first one basically looks like it was just scraped off the site, okay? Because it says get in touch and all it has is contact information. This isn't the contact page, but the search engine's scraping that and returning that. Well, that's not helpful. The next one below there, Hardy Coffee Company has 3 brick and mortar locations, but are more than a coffee shop. We are also a small batch coffee roaster and bakery. Ooh, that sounds interesting. Okay, so then that may result in a click. Got to have a goal in mind of what you want the person to do when your stuff turns up in a search. And marketing 101, arouse interest, create desire, motivate action. So you have to have those 3 components in those things that are page title and the page meta description. There's another thing that's a carryover, and it's still on website tools. I see it today, and there are people that still use it. It's the keyword meta tag. Oh, I got to put all these keywords in there. Well, the Panda and Penguin algorithms really did away with that. They don't actually, none of the search engines use this. And years ago, it was, okay, it helped the search engine understand keywords that were important to your business, that so you could turn up and rank your website. Well, some people used black hat tactics and used any term that was highly searched upon to put into this keyword meta tag. Had nothing to do with their business. Okay. And as a result, the search engine started getting wise to it. They started saying, we're going to look at the keywords on here and we're going to compare it to the content on the page. If there's a match, you get a gold star. For that, and $2.50 out of your own pocket, you can go down to the coffee shop and get a cup of coffee. That's what it's worth. But if there's no match, the search engine will still look at this and downrank your website and web page and think that you're keyword stuffing. Okay. Now, maybe you might remember a company called Grisante's, a restaurant that was over in the Old Mill area. I worked with them. Wouldn't say worked with them. I was working with another company trying to help them understand what they needed to do with their website. Well, they used a flash intro page to their website for the two locations that they had, Omaha and Lincoln, so people could take and click on one or the other. Well, that was their homepage. And unfortunately, there was no content on that page because Flash is a movie. It's like a picture. So what happened is they put keywords like fine Italian dining, casual Italian dining, fast food, etc. in the keyword meta tag. Well, the search engine looked at that and said, there's no content to compare it to. You're stuffing, even though it's probably legit. So don't use this tag, period. You don't need it. But you can use it if somebody else is using it, like your competitors, to figure out what might be important. That's just a little tip. Okay, headings. We talked a little bit about that. Hypertext markup language, HTML. That's what actually I looked at, learned on developing websites. So that's really coding. I don't want to do that anymore. Anyhow, H1 is the Highlander version of a heading. And I say Highlander, if you remember the movie, there can only be one. And on a page, there should only be one H1 heading. And you can have multiple H2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s. Okay, and those are style related, size of the type, font. You can manipulate that a little bit. But basically, those are areas that you need to take and put your keyword phrases in. Now, not all the time, but I'm just saying that's really, again, headings attract attention. Search engines look for those areas that attract attention. All right, we talked about this earlier too. Bold, italics, and density. How many times does the keyword phrase appear? And then emphasizing, putting it in italicize. That could be just a style thing, but again, it attracts attention by the search engine. So it's valuable for you to actually do. We talked about images, okay? So again, an image to a search engine is like a blank sheet of paper. Artificial intelligence can probably say, okay, this is an apple. Well, you don't want to turn your marketing over to a computer. So you want to take and actually put in that this is a red, delicious apple hanging from a tree. You can find fine apple pies at our bakery. Okay, apple pies, bakery are keywords that you can add into the alternative text after you explain what this picture is. Why do you explain it? Because you want ADA compliance, American with Disabilities Act. And you say, why would I want ADA compliance on a photo? Well, people that are visually impaired use the internet, and their browsers convert the text to voice, to word, to the spoken word. Well, it takes the alternative text field and it turns that into voice as well, so that the person can understand. Now, back, I think it was 2018, 2019, Domino's Pizza got sued and lost a multi-million-dollar case because their pizza images did not have alternative text on their website. Now, I'm not saying somebody's going to sue you for ADA non-compliance, because let's face it, they go after deep pockets. But depending upon your business, how deep are your pockets? So, but it just makes common sense for to be in compliance with the ADA. But it also has, like I said, a very strong SEO component where you describe the photo, you add some extra text in there about your business, and add keyword density to the page. All right. Search engines thrive on new content. One of the highest rated websites that you can find are news sites, because they're constantly adding new content. Likewise, businesses that do that with regular blog posts, or if you want to call it news, help your website ranking overall. And really what happens is it doesn't necessarily always, just doesn't index the one page that you put up. It re-indexes the whole site. That's why you should never delete old content unless it really has nothing to do with your business. It should be keyword focused, a keyword phrase blog post, okay? So another thing too is knowing when people are searching for that solution to the problem that you offer, okay? My accountant client was doing an AdWords campaign. This is somewhat similar, but he was doing an AdWords campaign during the months of October, November, okay? He was slower, okay? And he was doing it on QuickBooks support. Now you have to understand that is definitely part of an accountant's and bookkeeper's area, okay? But he went and bought one of those ad campaigns that you may see somewhere that Google will post saying, hey, we'll give you $150 to run an ad campaign. And they give you a big long list of all the keywords that are part of that campaign that you can do, and then you can build the ads. But again, the ads are just like your search engine for a web page, page title and description. Arouse interest, create desire, motivate action. You have to know what the goal is or what you want them to do. Well, funny thing is, QuickBooks support in terms of searches throughout the year, October and November are the lowest months that anybody is searching on those terms. The highest months happen to be January, February, March, and April. So really, if you're going to run any kind of campaign or put any content out there, you want to take and do it when people are searching for what you do, because it's going to help you, okay? We're going to talk about how to figure that out. Okay, off-page SEO. Your business does live online, and a lot of times you may not even know where it's showing up. So you really have to Google your own business. And there's all these different areas, the social media, there's the directories, the online directories, BBB, Yelp, yellowpages.com, I could go on and on. Then there's, the media sites that are out there. If you can get onto like a news story, that's great. The backlinks. Key thing is, no matter where you try to show up or where you end up showing up when you do take and do a search, you want NAP consistency, NAP, name, address, phone number. Okay, so here's some keys to improve your local SEO. Manage your listings. Wherever you appear, get your NAP consistency, name, address, phone number. And that means that if your name is, like mine, On Cue Marketing LLC, and it's on-q space marketing space LLC. It has to be the same throughout. If I drop the LLC somewhere, the search engines can look at me as a different business. Okay. If I have a comma in there, it could be looking as a different business. So it's got to be the same in everywhere you go. The phone number has to be the same. The address, not suite or apartment or whatever. If it's pound number 110, it should be pound 110 everywhere. That means on your website as well, everywhere. Okay. So one of the things I usually tell people to do is, okay, look at what Google says is your name, address, and phone number. Then duplicate that throughout. Now, if they have the name wrong, okay, then I would go and manage that, and that's through Google My Business, and correct that so that that gets changed. But a lot of times things like the suite number, office number, a lot of times that doesn't, you can't change that on Google. I've tried, and I finally just said, okay, Google, you win. And I just changed everything everywhere else. A little bit of a hassle, but that way it's consistent. The other thing you want to do to improve your local SEO is get reviews. Google is one of those places. Facebook recommendations, they show up. Yelp, and then any industry verticals. Okay, like if you're in the healthcare industry, healthgrades.com. Okay, the BBB, all these different things you want to take and try to encourage your clients to leave reviews. Then when you do get reviews and recommendations, please respond to them. You need to answer them, positive or negative, do it. Now, you may find, like one of my clients, that all of a sudden there's a bunch of negative reviews, and you figure out that that person that has reviewed you has never been a customer, has never contacted you. So why are they doing this? Well, it could be your competitors trying to flame you. Well, go ahead and respond and say, don't know exactly who you are because we have no record of you, but we certainly would like to hear from you. Please call our phone number, then also flag that so that it could actually be taken down. Although I rarely have seen that, but by answering it, it does help those other people that will actually follow up and look at those areas. And let's face it, when somebody's making a purchase decision, they're looking at reviews and recommendations. And they'll see that you responded as a real human being, and they'll think more of you. And then there's posting, okay? Google allows posting. You can put events out there. You can put general posts out there. You can take and put specials out there. There's all sorts of kinds of posts that they encourage you to do. A regular post lasts 7 days. So you have to be out there once a week putting a new post out. If you have a special or an event, those usually last as long as those things are up and running. A special has to point back to a website or landing page. Bing, on the other hand, only allows specials. So Bing Places only allows the specials to be published, and it has to point to a website landing page. But those things are important if you do those kind of things to actually manage and work. That helps you get raised up in the key 3, as well as provide information for people when they see a search result on their phone or on their desktop. Talked about that just before, the key 3. This is what I'm talking about. Now, this is a desktop view about coffee, and you can see a lot of times it's coffee shops near me, and it's looking for basically where I'm physically located, either by my computer or by my smartphone. So it's geo-based, geotag-based, and that's why it shows up there. But it shows you the top 3, and you can see the 4.6 and the 4.6 and the 4.7 stars in the reviews, 132, 66, 24 reviews. Those are all important. Now, this picture is a little bit old because they no longer return those key 3s with the addresses. You have to actually click on them. But anyhow, to get yourself raised up there, you have to be active on Google My Business, Bing Local, to help out in the key 3. All right. When it comes to publishing, you need a goal. I don't care. I mean, when it's a blog, putting out a website, getting your page titles, your meta descriptions written, you need a goal. What do you want the person to do when they see your stuff? Obviously, in a search result, you want them to click that so they land on your website so you can sell them something. So you need to set your goals. What do you want that reader and searcher to do? Okay, on social media, a lot of times it's, hey, I want them to like it. Well, on Facebook, that means they're just going to see more of it. On LinkedIn, that means it's sharing with that person's network. That's kind of nice. Okay, sharing the information, that's great because then they're sharing it with their network. That's how things can go viral. Engage. They leave a comment. Well, you respond back as a human, talking back, and thanking them for the comment or answering their question or what have you. Again, the engagement. See, the thing is, this is where you're actually engaged in a conversation, not between two people, but it's basically many to many. It's their network and your network seeing this conversation and clicking. Okay, like I said, on a search result, you want them to click it. If you're taking and posting something on a social media site, like a news story, and saying why you think this is important, that's why I'm sharing it, you're sending them to this other news thing, but you're building your SME status. And that is important as well. You want to become that subject matter expert. Excuse me, let me go back. Don't post and run, all right? Key point. You don't want to take and just post for the sake of posting and not engaging, not listening, basically just posting for the sake of putting something out there. That's not good tactics. That's not a good strategy. That's not really going to help you. All right, blogs and social media posts. You want to be the SME, the subject matter expert. I'll look ahead here just a minute. Okay. You want to be the thought leader. All right. Okay. So when I write content, I'm trying to be a thought leader. I am not a SME, but I am a SME. And when I say I'm not a SME, I'm not a subject matter expert. And you're probably saying, why am I on this workshop? Well, I'm a subject matter explorer because what I do changes so fast, nobody can become an expert. So if somebody comes into your business and says, hey, I'm a social media expert, point to the door, tell them to walk out because there is no such thing. But there can be social media explorers because, like I said, things change so fast in the social media world, the search engine world, but you still want to be a thought leader when you're putting out content. You want to say why you're doing it. Don't just put a link out there with an image. You want to take and encourage somebody to do something. That's where the goal comes in. Okay, you want to be able to increase your search engine results. Okay, in my world, it's called SERP, search engine result pages. Okay, but basically, you want to increase the searches, the search engine results, and you want to be able to engage with your market. Social media generally is not a place where you can sell, although you can sell there. It's really a relationship building tool. So if you focus on that, yeah, ultimately you're going to be able to sell. Now, the thing is, that doesn't mean that you can't put a post out there saying, hey, come in this week. We've got a 20% off sale on this. Boom. Okay. Well, that does drive traffic, and that's a great way of doing things. All right. When you talk about content creation, think of information. The 411 program, this is maybe kind of a rule of thumb. It's about information. It's not about selling. If you're selling all the time, you turn people off. 4 posts to share. You just share 4 posts. on social media platforms. Stories you've seen, other posts, pretty much, other things. You reshare a post to somebody you're connected to or something that you're following, but you always add why you're doing it, why you think it's important for that person that is seeing it, that why you think it's important for them to take and actually click on. Let's face it, not everybody in your networks are going to care about everything you're sharing, but you really want to have some information out there. Okay, then you want to take and put out one original new post. And I usually say from your blog or news page from your website. You want them to go to your website so they can see your stuff. Okay, because generally, once they get to the website, you want them hopefully to go around and look at other things. That's why when you write a blog post, you put, let's say, refs to other pages that are on your website, so you get them to go over to those other pages. And also, what do you want them to do when they get there? All right. So that's the 411 program. Sort of a rule of thumb. All right, here's some SEO tools that you can, use for free. All right, Moz.com, and you can actually do things like backlink checks, and it loads a toolbar on Chrome that you can do a quick analysis of a web page for page titles and descriptions and alternative text. Okay, because you want to see what the alternative text is, or all the images that maybe a competitor. I mean, these tools are used not only for your site, but you can check out the competitors. SEOquake.com has got a great tool. It's part of SEMrush. And basically it puts a tool that you can just click on. You can do a diagnostic of a web page, and you can see your page title, your meta description. If they're using the keyword meta tag, what headings do they have? Do they have alternative text? And are they, hitting the schema? And do they have a lot of other things, Twitter feeds, other things that are part of SEO that you can actually look at? SEO Power Suite, they actually have a paid tool as well. I do buy the paid tool for my business. It's expensive, but again, it's something that comes in handy for me, but you can use it free. There is, for a single site, an ability to look at it, and it provides, they have a search engine visibility tool called ranking. They have a website auditor. They have a link assist where you could actually have something to go out and get you links for you. And there's a couple other tools. So, I mean, it's really good. And there's a free service. Microsoft Ads. You can actually create a Microsoft Ads account and actually do keyword research. And when I say keyword research, you can put in specific keywords and you can see search volumes. You can look back 12 months and actually see the month by month, which is very helpful. Okay. And then you can actually search for related keywords. Okay. So if you have a set of keywords in there and you want to look for related keywords, Microsoft will actually return a list of related keywords with search volumes that you may not have ever thought of, that are actually being searched on Microsoft. And guess what? Human nature as it is, the people that are searching on Microsoft for certain things are also searching on Google for the same things. Now, Google has an ads tool as well, but here we're going to talk about analytics and Search Console. Those are two tools, and you can tie them together so you can understand the search volume that's happening to your website, as well as what pages they're landing on, where they're coming from, how long they're staying on the pages, what are they looking at different pages. They give you flow charts, and quite frankly, if you want your headaches to explode, you go to Google Analytics, unless you actually know what you're looking for so you can narrow down, the information, because there's so much information that is provided. So there's a lot of great information, and tying in Search Console to Google Analytics, it'll tell you in Google Analytics what landing pages people are landing on, how many times, what are they were looking at, how long they've been there, whether or not that's the only page they're looking at and they're leaving, or if they're looking at other pages. So all those things are important. Search Console, on the other hand, will actually tell you a lot of that same information, but it'll also tell you you have this error on the website. You know, it's not mobile friendly, your images are too big, or things are too small to touch by phone, you know, things are too close. So, I mean, those are the things Search Console will tell you, little warnings where you're going to have to clean up your website. Bing Webmaster Tools is a combination of Google Analytics and Search Console. Does a lot of the same thing. And what's great is what I usually do is when I take and set up anything for a client, I'll do the Google stuff first. Google My Business, Google Analytics, Google Search Console. Then I'll take and create a, I wouldn't say create a Bing account or a Microsoft Ads account. I'll take and actually sign in using my Google account into Bing or Microsoft Ads, because that way I can say to Bing, look at my Microsoft stuff and sync up with it. So you can tie those two things together. Same thing with the Webmaster Tools. So that way things sync together without you doing anything. So if you're like on Google My Business and making a post, well, post not really, but if you're making a change on their like hours, it'll sync up with Bing and put the same hours in there. And that's where, like Google My Business, you want to do that with holiday hours. You got holiday hours coming up. Are you open on Christmas Eve? Are you open on Christmas Day? What about the day after Christmas? You want to take and put those in there, whether or not you're closed or you have special hours. Then, of course, Google search or any kind of search. You start typing in a search term, they're going to give you the top 5 answers in recommendations as you continue typing. Same thing happens in a social media tool in a search box. You start typing and they return things. Those are clues to actually what people are searching on. And maybe you should take and actually include some of that stuff within your content. So anyhow, ignore the presentation one. This is actually from a previous one, but the SEO Tips 1120 is correct. And that's that sheet that's a Word document or PDF. And it basically has a lot of stuff about what I'm talking about with keywords and on-page and off-page SEO. So definitely download it. It's free. It's good information. I guess it's free and it's only good as what you use it with, but it's something that I strongly would recommend that you do. It's based on all the years of experience that I have. All right. There were no questions in between. Are there any questions now?
There is one question of how long can the alt text be?
Generally, you want it maybe 140 characters. That's about it.
Okay. And if you're doing video, video posts or video, different ways to use video instead of writing blogs, you do a blog.
A vlog, right?
Yeah. Yep. Should they be transcribed so then the search engines pick up the text? Okay. Or
it depends upon what you're doing. Okay, I usually recommend that if anybody's a strong video blogger, that they take and use YouTube to take and post their blog posts, and most people do. All right, now you can optimize a video on YouTube so it can turn up in search results, and that's with the title, the description, when you enter tags, okay, on the back end. Now the tags aren't seen in anything else except YouTube. And then if you're speaking, obviously Google will convert, or YouTube, well, it's owned by Google. YouTube will convert the spoken word to the transcription or closed caption file. And you can go into the closed caption file and correct it and say, use your corrected version and discard the other version, the automatic one. Because the automatic one will get a lot of it right, but it's not going to be 100%. Then if you take and share that blog post from YouTube, obviously if you put it up on like a Facebook page, you don't get the same kind of analytics out of it that you would if you uploaded the video to YouTube itself. But you still want to take and put why you're sharing that. in text, okay? Same thing if you take your video and embed it in your website on a blog page, okay? You want to give it an encapsulation a little bit. A lot of times it's the description, repurposed on your website there to, again, the idea is keyword density, arouse interest, create desire, motivate action. You don't want it, depending upon the topic, I suppose. Videos tend to be too long. You want it like 60 or 90 seconds. But obviously, when you start talking about something that is a passion for your business, you want a little more instruction, they can be longer. The human being has the attention span of less than a goldfish. And I don't know how anybody has measured that, but they say it's about 7 seconds. So anyhow, you want to be able to take and do that. Now, one of the things about inbound marketing is long form videos are a key to help you qualify and nurture that prospect into a customer. So a lot of times you don't necessarily want to post it for the general public. You may post a little snippet of the video out there for the general public, but then you want them to, let's say, click a link to take and ask for the full video so you can capture information such as their name, address, email address, telephone number. And the more you go along in terms of the funnel, sales funnel, you want to ask for more information. Initially on inbound marketing, the most you can ask for is like their name and email. Then as time goes on, you can start asking them more information like the company name. Are you the purchasing decision maker? When do you think there might be a time to buy? And you might say, put in like choices, 0 to 3 months, 3 to 6 months, 6 months to 12 months, 12 months, more than 12 months kind of routine. So you get some idea. You're qualifying that prospect for your business. So that's one of the things that you can use. And that's why digital marketing, SEO, inbound marketing, they all come together in their little universe.
All right. Well, no more questions have arrived in the chat box. So, Jeff, I greatly appreciate you doing this presentation today. And thank you to SCORE and the SBA for these marketing sessions to be able to happen. So if anybody has any questions, just reach out.
Yeah, and on the bottom of the handout, you'll see my SCORE email address. Go ahead and ask, shoot me an email. I'll take and respond to it. One thing about SCORE is that we do offer mentors to take and actually work with you one-on-one in all aspects of business. We don't care if it's legal or helping you write a business plan or set up a marketing program, social media, whatever. So those are the things that you can take advantage of. And most of it is FREE, free. So yes, please take advantage of it.
Yes. So, all right. Well, thank you very much. This recording will be up on YouTube hopefully by the end of the week. All right. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.